Hello everyone and welcome back to day 6 of the daily videos. This afternoon I'm going to be making a Victoria sandwich. So that's basically 2 sponge cakes and in the middle you put whipped cream and strawberry jam. But I've just realised when I went to get all the ingredients out of the cupboard that I don't have enough flour, and I've had a little rummage through Sadie's cupboards and she hasn't got any, and I've had a rummage through the cupboards in the chateau and they haven't got any either. So unfortunately we're going to have to quickly dash to the supermarket to get some flour. So we're going to have to quickly dash to the supermarket and come back because it's getting quite late and I want to get this cake done for this evening. So let's go. Okay, goodbye chateau for now. Who's that? Is that Dad? To go that way. I'll tell you what we do need if we're going to be making some jam, and that is jars. We do these lovely ones here, but I'm not sure whether to get these slightly bigger jars or I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make loads and loads of little jars, and that way once you open one, if you don't use it, obviously it's not going to spoil. Obviously jam doesn't really spoil anyway, but it'd be nice to give a couple away as little gifts. So I'm going to be making the Royal Bramble jam, and obviously I want to put the ingredients that are in the cocktail in it. So we're going to need champagne and gin. Let's go for a bottle of that. I think we'll have Bombay Sapphire, Moet Chandon. Also, to recreate the flavour of the Chambord liqueur, it's not just black raspberry. They actually put vanilla and they put cognac in it. So we're going to need some cognac. We'll go for Hennessy because it's another classic flavour. So obviously we're not going to use all of it, but I can put it in a cup and keep it for special occasions. So we've got all of those. Special flour for cakes, which is basically self-raising flour, and they just call it here a farine pour gâteau, which means basically cake flour. So this is special patisserie sugar. I think we should get 2 of those so that I've got stuff at home when I need it. So this is really interesting. This is fresh yeast for baking bread, and actually this company, Hirondelle or Le Sap, was actually founded by Gwendolyn's great-great-great-great-grandfather, I think. I'm not sure how many greats, but that was founded by her ancestor, and that's actually still owned by the family now. So we'll get some of those for making bread. 3? There we go. Also, not forgetting some coconut milk for making coffees. And I think we're done, so let's go pay for this and get home and get baking. Right, we're almost home now, back to the chateau. We're just pulling down the little driveway now and through the gates. There they are. And there it is, home at last. Here we are. After the little detour, we're ready to finally make the cake. So this is a classic English recipe. It's a Victoria sponge, and the recipe I would say is similar to what you would call a pound cake. So all of the ingredients weigh roughly the same. So first of all, you're going to need 4 free-range eggs. These are definitely free-range eggs, and because they were laid today. Well, they weren't all laid today because we've only got 3 chickens, so one of them will be from a previous day. So anyway, so you're going to need 4 free-range eggs. Well, these are quite large eggs, so they're perfect. And you want your eggs to be at room temperature. You don't want to put cold eggs from the refrigerator into the cake because it won't incorporate enough air. It won't be fluffy enough to rise. So also you're going to need 225 grams of caster sugar. That's 8 ounces. 225 grams of self-raising flour, also 8 ounces. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And you're going to want some vanilla essence. I've got vanilla essence, but also I've got vanilla sugar. So I've taken some sugar out of the bowl and I'm going to replace it with this. So there's about 14 grams of vanilla sugar. If you can't get that, use a couple of teaspoons of vanilla essence. And also you're going to need 225 grams or 8 ounces of strawberry or raspberry jam, and the same again, 225 grams or 8 ounces of whipping cream. And it's really simple. So you got your bowl. First of all, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius, or if it's a fan oven, you need it at 160. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but I'll put a conversion in the video description. So it's really simple. You've got to add all your ingredients. First of all, you need to add your eggs. So I'm going to crack these eggs into a bowl just to make sure they're all okay, because you never know, you might get a bad one. And if you put that straight into your mixing bowl, you ruin the mixture. You can't fish it out once it's in there. So crack your eggs into a bowl just to make sure they're fresh. That's 4 fresh eggs. Perfect, nothing wrong with those. Okay, so they, first of all, go into the bowl. Really simple, you'll put that in first. Now I'm actually gonna add all the ingredients at the same time and then start whisking because this is the traditional way to make a Victoria sponge. It's called the all-in-one method. So you just put everything in and then start mixing. So next you're gonna want to add the sugar. Now I'm gonna just use a sieve to sift it, just to make sure there's no lumps, because you want this cake as light and fluffy as possible. That's it, no lumps. And next you're going to want to add the flour. Now I always put the flour into the sieve and I put the baking powder in with it as well, so that it all sifts together and mixes together quite evenly. Get loads of air into it. And you can see here my baking powder is all stuck together, so that needs to be pushed through the sieve. You can see there. I hope it still works. It's obviously a bit old. So next you're going to want to add baking powder. I've already done that. We want to put our vanilla sugar in. Just break that up so there's no big lumps. That's it. Now I had a bit of an accident earlier. I put the butter on a plate on top of the agar to come up to room temperature because it was in the refrigerator, and it actually completely melted. Although you can use melted butter, but you don't want it hot. So this is actually cool, but it hasn't set yet. So in we go. Obviously we don't want to sieve the butter. That's 8 ounces of butter at room temperature. That's perfect. So before I start mixing, you're going to need 2 20cm cake tins or 8-inch tins, and these I got these from the Netherton Foundry in England, and they're actually made from spun iron, so they're not like an aluminium cake tin or a steel one. These are actually iron, and they've been seasoned so that they're non-stick. So obviously these you would have to re-season them every now and again, but I absolutely love these because the agar's quite hot, hotter than a normal oven. So you want something with a bit of meat that's gonna protect it from that intense heat. So what I've done is I greased that with some butter and taken a circle of grease-proof paper, and I've lined the bottom. So I've already done that one. So we're gonna put the grease-proof paper, non-stick side up, in the bottom, rub some extra butter just over the top of the greaseproof paper. I know you don't necessarily need to, but I always like to. It just makes sure nothing sticks. So they're all greased and lined. Right, this is the first time I've used this mixer. What I did was I took everyone's advice yesterday and I read the instructions, and I made a few adjustments so that the beaters are perfectly aligned. But a lot of people said yesterday that they thought it was quite noisy. It is quite noisy because it's got this special attachment on it which actually scrapes the side of the bowl. So it will make a bit more noise with this attachment, but should be absolutely fine. Right, maybe I should put this on. I don't know if this is going to protect it from splashing everywhere. So we're going to start on a low setting. I don't think we need that actually. So there you go, it's mixing. So it's all mixed. Just try and get some of that excess off. So the oven's hot because it's an Aga, it's always on. What I don't have is, I should have bought one. I really should have bought one. I don't have like a silicone spatula, but I do have one in the chateau. Actually, it is mine. I left it in there. So we'll just stop the filming and I'm going to run to the castle and get a spatula. I used to have one that said "I love cake" on it. Yeah, we'll have to use that one. I don't know where the other one is. That will go back to the cottage. Look at that. I know we had so much bad weather for such a long time, but it's a beautiful summer evening. No breeze, nothing. And the farmer's been out turning over his grass, which is obviously drying for hay at the minute. So yeah, it's perfect. Although it's a bit late to be baking a cake, and I've got to release this video today. It might be a late one, this one, but at least we'll have a video out. Half and half into each tin. It's a good texture. It's a drop off the spoon easily. It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, some people actually weigh them out so that they've got exactly the same amount in each tin, but as long as it's roughly the same, it doesn't really matter. And that should rise up, so they should probably double in height from what they are now, at least. So yeah, I'm just going to give them a little wobble, try and level off the mixture. There we go. They look pretty level to me. The thing with an Aga cooker is, you've got two ovens. You've got a roasting oven and you've got a simmering oven. The roasting oven could be anywhere from 200 to 250 degrees Celsius, depending on how hot the oven is. And the simmering oven could be anywhere from 100 degrees Celsius to maybe 120 max. Not ideal baking temperature, but there's a few tricks that you can employ to cool your oven down. Okay, so you want these on the middle shelf of the oven. I'd say it's about the middle shelf, but you have something with an Aga, and this is called a cold plain shelf. And you're meant to keep it out of the cooker so that it's always cool. And then what you do is, to protect your cakes and things from the intense heat of the top of the oven, because it is very, very hot, what you do is, you slide that in just before you put your cakes in, and then put one cake there and one cake there, and close it up. And it's as simple as that. And that piece of steel will absorb and reflect some of the infrared heat, just enough for 20 minutes for the cakes to bake. Really excited to try out this mixer for whipped cream. Obviously, between the two sandwiches, you need to put strawberry jam and whipped cream. That's a traditional English recipe. The unfortunate thing is, in France, it's really difficult to find double cream for whipping. It's quite a powerful machine, so let's see if it can whip cream. Now, you want about 225 8 ounces of cream, possibly a bit more. Some people say 300 grams for a cake. So let's pour the cream in. Let's put the guard on. We don't want to make a mess. And see how good this thing is at whipping cream. We're not going to know until we try, but will it whip? We don't know. It's definitely whipping. I can see it's getting thicker. Look at this. Let me give the camera here. Look at that. We have whipped cream. So it's been 20 minutes. We'll get back to the cream in a second because it may have been a bit of a disaster. Let's have a look. I think that is done perfectly. Oh, I tell you what, I've never baked a cake in the Aga before. And I'm really so surprised because they came out absolutely perfect. They're not burnt on one side. They are risen really evenly. And they've pulled away from the... So these cake tins, iron cake tins, plus an Aga, plus the cold plain shelf, which is now a hot shelf. Right, well, unfortunately, this cream is no good for whipping because if you see here, look, that's just sort of looks a bit curdled and yeah, no good. But Mum has saved the day because whilst the cake was in the oven, I just ran up to hers and she gave me this, Apparently this is professional cream, which is used for making whipping and making cakes. And she also gave me this powder, which is called Chantifix, which is like a powder that you add to cream and it makes it whip, makes it stay firm. So I'm going to have to get rid of this. I'm going to put that in the trash and we're going to do it again. We'll start from scratch. Well, that didn't work because it's all curdled. Right, well, once again, it's just curdled. It doesn't whip, this French cream, which is a real shame because there's so many English dishes that, you know, desserts that you need whipped cream for, and you just can't get it here. But we're going to make do with what we got because this is the last of the cream now. And we're going to whip in some icing sugar. Oh, let's see if that brings it back together. Right, I'm getting fed up with this now. Attempt 3 at whipping cream failed. We just got a big curdled mess. I even had the mixer on the lowest setting. So nothing for it. We're going to make buttercream. I'm sure it'll be just as nice. Right, attempt number 4 at some sort of filling for this cake because we're getting desperate now. It'll do. Yeah. Oh, it'll do. Finally, the cakes have cooled down and it's time to fill the cake now. So we're going to got some nice strawberry jam that came from England, and you want to spread a nice thick amount on either side. And the good thing about the jam is it actually also stops the cream from soaking into the cake and making it soggy. So they probably didn't even need 20 minutes. They probably needed about 16 minutes maybe. And that would have been more than enough for these. So we are going to pretend that this is whipped cream. It's actually buttercream. It's the best we could do. And which is going to be the top of the cake. I think probably that's going to be the top of the cake. So if we put this on, hopefully these cakes aren't too warm so that it doesn't melt. That's really important. Make sure your cake's completely cooled down to room temperature. Otherwise, whatever cream you put on there will just melt and the whole cake's going to collapse. So this is basically unsalted butter, icing sugar. Now, I didn't actually weigh the icing sugar. I just put in probably about half a cupful until it looked about right. And I did add a little bit of cream into the mix, but not too much because I didn't want it to all go wrong like last time. We need to now put the other half on top like that. There we go. That's it. Give it a nice dust. Transfer it to a cake plate. Garnish it with a few raspberries. What do you think about that? There we go. Let's put a couple of those on. And there we have it. One delicious Victoria sponge with whipped cream. We're just going to pretend it's whipped cream. So let's take it to the chateau and see who wants some. Hello. Right, Gwen, seeing as it's your favourite, I made this cake for you. Do you want a slice? I had a bit of a disaster though because the cream in France, it doesn't whip.
Oh yeah.
You're meant to have whipped cream, so I did it 3 times and it all went wrong. So it's buttercream instead. Oh, it looks quite good actually. I'll give you a clean fork. There you go.
Thank you.
That's for you. Who else wants one? Alexander?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
There we go. I'll do one. Billy?
Wow, look at this.
Oh, and there's a little Ernest here. Ernest cake.
Wow.
Do you want to come and sit down? There you go. That's cake for you. You try that. Right, so what's everyone think of the cake? Is it good?
Great.
Yeah? Perfect. Right, I'm going to try it myself. And just want to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.